Hey everyone, to the Collect Jurassic. We're here with an awesome unboxing today from Mattel Jurassic Hammond Collection. Probably the coolest thing to happen to Jurassic toy collecting since the original Kinder Jurassic line. Has a bunch of new releases for Wave 2. Of course, we have Gallimimus here. We have Alan Grant, my personal favorite character, and the T-Rex, the one everyone's been waiting for. Have it here in hand, ready to unbox. This is going to be an epic unboxing and review. Let me tell you, I have lots and lots of comparisons planned to vehicles, to other T-Rexes, all that good stuff. This is going to be a good one, so stick around. But yeah, we're going to go take a look at these three figures individually, and we'll look at the Hammond Collection range as a whole too, just because now having all these figures in hand, it's just cool to see how much we've gotten in literally like, what, it hasn't even been 6 months since the line launched, and we're already just like drowning in awesome figures. It is so cool. So let's go ahead and jump right in to the first two figures, Alan Grant and Gallimimus, both in the $12.99 range, which is just an incredible price point. Great little figures. We'll start with Grant here first. Again, my personal favorite. I've always loved Grant ever since I had the Kinder figure, ever since I saw the movie. And you know, Mattel's already given us a Alan Grant figure for Legacy Collection, and then of course we got one for Amber. That was okay. It's obviously 6 inches, so it doesn't scale with all the other Mattel toys. This is the one though I've been waiting for. So let's go ahead and bust this one open. Packaging wise, you can see it's got the nice clean packaging of all the Hammond Collection we've gotten so far, with that like embossed T-Rex on there. Also have a little bio on the back. Ian Freeze, it's clear that holding an infant velociraptor is far from the only surprise that awaits Dr. Alan Grant and his treacherous tour of Jurassic Park. I love how they have his little bio holding the flare, and then in the figure he's wearing his sunglasses. I have a lot to say about those sunglasses, but there they are again. We'll get to that later. But let's go ahead and open up the toy and look at the actual figure versus staring here at the box, right? So we'll just open this side up, and we'll go ahead and get him out. He doesn't look like he has any plastic tags or anything. We can literally just pull him out of the box, and he's good to go. Lots of little tiny accessories with him as well. We'll carefully pop all those out, hopefully without it being too much of a trouble. Nope, they're popping right out. Just don't want to lose any of them. Oh man, I love that these Hammond Collection figures come with all these little accessories though. It's just, it makes them feel that much more deluxe and collector oriented when they come with all these awesome extras on top of an excellent figure. Kind of all comes together. And then we got Grant himself. Come on out, Grant. You've been chosen to be reviewed. So here he is in hand. He feels great. I can tell you right off the bat that this one has better plastic quality than the other Legacy Collection Grant. So we'll do a comparison of that later. But here he is. He's got his khaki pants. He's got his cool boots. I don't know if you can see the detail on the boots. They have treads on them. They have laces. And then he's got like all this detail on his belt. Then the shirt's got lots and lots of detail too. And of course, the articulation, which we'll talk about in a second, looks great on this figure. You know, not too many seams or anything. And then you got his face too. But yeah, the one thing I don't like about this this face is the sunglasses. I mean, he wears them in the movie for 1 second. They don't even really look like aviators. They look like, I don't know, but luckily it looks like we can just pop them off here. Like most of the Mattel sunglasses, they pop off. They're very, very small, right? I mean, look how small they are. They're very tiny. But I don't think they add anything to Alan Grant. He's somebody who doesn't wear sunglasses for most of the movie. So there he is without them, looking much better. Of course, he does have little holes in the side of his head for them, which is kind of a bummer. I don't know why they included the sunglasses or why they didn't put them on the alternate head, which we have here, which is the hatless version. I don't know. He didn't need sunglasses. So that's my first sort of like ping against this figure. Probably my only ping against this figure is the fact that they used his hat head for sunglasses that left, you know, little holes on the side of it. They didn't need to do that. Most people who like Alan Grant don't care about sunglasses, let alone ones that don't look like him. But anyway, let's talk about how awesome this figure actually is. Of course, it's Hammond Collection, so it has tons of articulation. It's got double jointed knees, so we can do all kinds of crazy stuff with his knees, more so than any other figure. They also rotate out, which is cool. So he's got some really nice articulation there. He has the swivel waist, which is, you know, pretty standard, but it also pivots like this too, which I think is really cool. Gives you a little bit more of a posture change when you can kind of tilt from side to side. He's got the shoulder joints and the elbow joints. The elbow joints also have a rotator on them, so they're not just stuck rotating in one spot. And then, of course, he has the wrist articulation that lets him rotate his hand around, and he can also sort of like do little gestures like point his hand up and point his hand down. And then the head, of course, is on a ball joint too. So really nice articulation there and really nice plastic quality too. We'll get to the accessories here in a second, but I want to talk about the plastic quality. We'll go ahead and get Legacy Collection Alan Grant out. And as you can see side by side, this one's like all glossy. And this one's got this nice matte finish. This one doesn't have near as crisp detail like in the shirt pockets and the buttons. This one, of course, does. The likeness, you can see for yourself. One's a little bit closer on the dot than the other. And there's like extra details on the hat. There's like texturing on the hat even. And the pants are a different color, which is kind of funny. But I mean, they almost look the same from far away, but this one's feeling much better in hand, which is great. And of course, this one doesn't have all that added articulation. It has some of the articulation, but he can't like kick his legs out underneath him. His wrists don't articulate. That kind of stuff. He only does pivoting on the waist, so there's not as much articulation on Grant here as the Hammond Collection version. So this one's just awesome. Accessories wise, of course, I talked about the head pops off. You can put his alternate hatless head on. He's got kind of like a pleasant look on his face, right? No holes for sunglasses on this one. He also has alternate hands, but of course, in the hands that he's wearing, he can hold that flare. Wouldn't be a Mattel human figure from Jurassic Park without a flare. I know that Malcolm came with one too. So he got his flare that he can hold, but he can also pop these little hands off very easy with the peg, and then pop another hand on, and now he's holding his iconic raptor claw, right? It's a whole nother sculpt of a hand that holds the raptor claw. So it's kind of fun that he can hold that just like the movie. And there's other hand that he can, here, we'll go ahead and put his regular hand. His other hand that he puts on the left hand, which is really cool. If you see, he's got nice painted wristwatch on his hand, but this hand pops off, and then he gets this hand, which if you think looks a little weird, it's because it's supposed to be the gloved hand. He's got like the medical glove on that he has on in the scene in the lab in Jurassic, in the hatchery, where he's holding that baby raptor and kind of contemplating like, oh man, that you bred raptors. So even comes with the little tiny baby raptor too. It's got some nice detail on it. You can see little eyes and teeth. So you can hold that in his gloved hand and sort of, question what has Hammond done. Points for anyone who also has the SDCC exclusive. Hammond, I mean, this set is perfect. The Raptors even look similar, a little different shade of green, but like, I mean, this whole like podium that came with that set is perfect for this Grant figure who comes with the glove and the other baby raptor. So really cool connection there to a toy that already came out. So that's kind of what you can do with his alternate pieces. Of course, I prefer the hat with the head myself versus the one without the hat. I think that looks a little bit more like Alan Grant, but yeah, I'll go ahead and put his regular glove on, or his regular hand on too, because we'll definitely want to bring him out when we're talking about T-Rex too. So there is Alan Grant, definitely the figure that was looking forward to the most. Now that I have it in hand, absolutely in love with this thing. Incredible figure. All these little accessories, I'm going to try not to lose those. Could be tough. Next up, we have the Gallimimus here. Again, packaging looks really nice. Kind of the silhouette of, or the portrait rather, of the Gallimimus close on. Have a little picture from the movie, just like all of these, and it says, moving in unison, similar to birds, the Gallimimus herd tries to evade the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the true Metasaurus. So a little fun little quote from Timmy there. That's a nice little addition. One thing I want to say about this packaging on these smaller figures, even the medium figures, it's a really nice premium cardboard, right? really smooth. You know, holds up really nicely. I will say the first thing I noticed about the Rex, granted my box got a little crushed in the mail, so it already doesn't look great, but it's made of corrugated cardboard, which I saw that at Generation Jurassic and figured it was just because it was a comp that it was corrugated, but the final one in hand is also corrugated, which, I mean, it's just a totally different vibe than this nicer cardboard. It feels very cheap. It still has the nice color on it and like the embossing, but I wish they didn't do the corrugated because it doesn't look nearly as premium as the other Hammond Collection figures with this style of box. But I digress. We'll talk about the Rex more when it's time to unbox it. But just one thing I want to do a comparison before we threw away this this Gallimimus packaging for reference. Let's go ahead and get Gally out and see how it stacks up against Alan and a couple other comparisons, and then we'll be on to the T-Rex. So here it is. Tail comes unattached. Pretty standard for these toys. Looks like it's got its hands are clipped in by a couple little plastic ties. So bear with me while I snip those out, and we can get right into the toy itself. All right, we got those little clips off. I think that was it. Yep, that was it. So Gally is free now. Plastic ties out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and attach the Gallimimus tail too. So there is Gallimimus from Jurassic Park. Really cool figure. I love this thing. It's perfect size too. It's a little bit bigger than the Raptors, which you'll see in a second. Nice coloration overall. You know, the Jurassic Park Gallimimus has a lot of different colorations, interpretations through Jurassic, from Stan Winston concept art to, you know, what you see in the movie versus what you see like in the merchandise. So there's a lot of different stuff that went on when they did that. I love this thing. We'll talk about articulation here in a second. I'm just kind of playing with it, but yeah, the coloration is kind of like a simpler version of what I imagine the Jurassic Park Gallimimus had, and we can do a comparison with the Legacy figure, and that's kind of what I consider, you know, what the Gallimimus looks like. But this is a great rendition to everything from the tail to the nose. Just looks awesome. So let's talk about that articulation. That's what we love Hammond Collection, right? You saw that I attached the tail. It's on a rotation. It also has some of that wire in it, so you can give it a little push, a little bend, whatever you want to do. I like to kind of keep mine just a slight bend, nothing too crazy. And then it's got the articulation on the hip and the knee and then the ankle. So really nice, lets you do a whole bunch of running poses. And then the shoulder has that rotating and outward hinge, as well as the elbow lets you rotate around and move up. And then there's nothing on the wrist for this one. It's just kind of related to the shoulder and elbow, really. And then of course you got the neck. I was playing with it earlier. You have the articulation on the neck, on the base of the neck. This middle part is not like bendy, wiry. It's a softer plastic, but it doesn't have a wire in it. Then you can move the top of the head, which is cool, so you can make him like look around. And then of course the jaw opens too. You can see he's got like a little painted tongue in there, a little painted teeth. So, and then of course his eyeball, gotta check that out, he's painted. So really, really nice detail on this, even in the head. But overall, the articulation just totally makes this figure awesome. And it's appropriately sized too. If you want to put it next to Grant real quick. I even got it to stand up. So we'll go ahead and pose them like that, so you can do a little comparison next to Grant. So you can see Grant is a little bit smaller than it, or not a little bit, he's a lot of it smaller with it, which I think makes sense if you think about how big he was in the movie. I also have the Hammond Collection Raptor handy. Sorry, Grant. So you can see it's much bigger than the Raptor, even at least height wise. It's its legs being posed like this, it's higher in the mid body, and then of course the neck and head are way taller. So it's a shorter figure for sure, but it's a taller, kind of more plasticky figure. It's got more material with it because it's a bigger animal. It was supposed to be a bigger animal, so that's kind of cool to see it next to the Raptor, kind of how much bigger it is. And then of course you got Grant next to it. So I love the articulation on this thing. It's so cool. And at $12.99, I mean, this is just a fabulous toy, a great herd builder. Speaking of herd builders, I already had a couple Legacy Collection Gallimimuses. This came out all the way back in 2018. Legacy Collection Gallimimus. I love this toy. And this is sort of like the successor to it, right? The Hammond Collection one. I love the little stripes on this one. It's something I wish we could have seen on the Hammond Collection one. I also love sort of like the smaller, more like streamlined head. This new head feels a little bit like Jurassic Park, but it also feels like it could be a Jurassic World Gallimimus too. And yes, there is a difference. It almost looks like they tried to split the difference. I mean, that right there looks like a Jurassic Park Gallimimus, right? But of course, with the articulation, you add a little bit more plastic material. The head is just overall a little bit bigger than the Legacy Collection one. You also have that like cuff, right, for the top of the head where it meets, or the bottom of the head where it meets the neck, which, you know, it just kind of changes the form of the figure, if you will. But I mean, it adds articulation too, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like you're kind of sacrificing some of the form silhouette of the animal, but you're getting some articulation for it, which I think, you know, nobody who, you know, likes to open their toys and take photos and pose or even play with them will argue about articulation, right? So pretty cool. That is the Hammond Collection Gallimimus. Going to be buying many of those at $12.99. I want to get at least 5 of them. I know that sounds crazy, but come on, there is a whole herd in Jurassic Park, so why not go crazy and get a bunch more? But let's go ahead and head to the main event, the Tyrannosaurus Rex Hammond Collection, the biggest figure release yet. This one is $50, which I still think is an incredible deal based on what I can just see through the window. This thing's got tons of detail, and we know it's Hammond Collection, so we know it'll have lots of articulation too. But yeah, I think I already kind of talked about the box. It definitely has the same Hammond Collection aesthetic with the embossing and the color and all that, but I, for one, am disappointed with the corrugation. I feel like, I mean, I was going to collect this one mint in box, and I probably still will. I just wish it would have felt a little bit more higher end. But the top of it's got that little, like, status light. All these boxes kind of feel like crates, like dinosaur crates. You have a hero shot of the T-Rex. Ooh, that thing looks good. Worth noting, all 3 of these figures here were from Jurassic Park. You know, this Grant was from Jurassic Park, as well. Let me see if I can get this box put together so we can... As was Gallimimus. So three Jurassic Park figures in one wave. Hey, I'm not complaining. I love Jurassic Park. So that, I'm okay in my book. So yeah, there's the T-Rex on the side with the Jurassic Park logo. And then, of course, just like the other toys we unboxed, have a little image, a little bio with epic power and colossal force. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is the ultimate carnivore when dinosaurs ruled the earth. Got that iconic end scene there too. So let's go ahead and get it open, right? Well, let's stop talking about it and get this open. I know that's probably why most people are watching this review, is for the T-Rex. So, and you know that I want to get it out too. So we'll go ahead and slide this inner tray out. Seems pretty painless. Man, Target really did a number on this box. I don't know if you can see how warped this interior tray is, even just from the box being kind of manhandled and tossed around. So looks like the tail is tied on down here. So I'll go ahead and pop that out first. Ooh, love the paint detail just on the tail. It's just incredible. And then the feet are tied in, so I'm going to go ahead and just get those big giant ties out of here with hopefully not too much jostling around. Just cut this one. When in doubt, just cut the strings. And then it's got a lot of different plastic ties on it, so go ahead and cut those out. Mostly on the neck, it looks like, kind of keeping the head posed the way they want it to be posed in the package. And then I think there's one more on the tail that'll just flick off. So, okay. Almost there, folks. What are we still hung up on? No, we're not hung up on anything. So, all right. Whew. So, let's go ahead and get this thing assembled and posed, right? I'm gonna pose it. Every picture we've seen of this T-Rex, it's posed ridiculous. So we're gonna go ahead and pose this one correctly right off the bat with the ankle joints. This is the scary thing about articulated figures, is you always have to like warm up the joints, right? You kind of have to make sure everything moves before you get too rammy with it. And now the tail is going to add the balance. I really need to get this thing perfectly posed. Looks like the tail goes in there however you see fit. It doesn't have like a peg or anything. Oh man, yes. There she is in all of her glory. The Jurassic Park T-Rex. Oh my gosh, this thing is so cool. Hold on, I'm trying to get all the like I guess appendages posed in a cool way, so we're not like looking at this thing getting all excited and it's kind of in a goofy pose. Yeah, wow, this thing has so much articulation on it. So there she is. I'm trying to get this one arm bent down, but again, all these joints coming out of the package need a little bit of playing with to get them perfect. So this thing is even cooler than I thought. And I've seen this thing in person at Generation Jurassic, but I didn't get to touch it, right? Didn't get to hold it in my hands. So now I get to, and I am just completely impressed with it. The coloration on this thing is just incredible. Wow. This is awesome. Yeah, wow. This is just so cool. I love this thing. Wow, this is just amazing. It looks like it's got like, oh cool, it's got double jointed knees. So it's got like articulation on the top of the knee and the bottom of the knee. I'm gonna get it in a neutral pose here. I already mentioned the tail kind of goes on a nice rotator, rotates really nicely. It has a midsection rotation too, so you can get like double articulation. And then also the back of it looks like it's got no, I don't think it's got a wire. I think, oh yeah, it's got a wire in it. It's just spongy. It's soft plastic, but perfectly blended with the rest of the body. So yeah, the double jointed knees, you have the jointed ankles, of course. Down here, you have the jointed feet, which rotate. Even has the toe claws painted right here, which is just incredible detail that you don't see on a lot of the other Mattel Jurassic toys. Never see that claw painted anyway. Trying to get her to stand up in a cool pose. Then she's got the mid body articulation with the this, which that seam really blends in. I mean, I'm in some harsh light here that casts some pretty harsh shadows, but you can't even see that seam, and it moves really smoothly too, so she can really look up, look down, look side to side. It really adds just a whole layer of articulation. Then we have the bottom of the neck. Looks like it has, yeah, a nice joint. The midpoint of the neck, the base of the head has a nice joint. And then you have the, gosh, my Rex keeps falling forward though. I hope I don't have like loose legs or something. Now she's standing up better. I'm just trying to see how sticky these joints are. It seems like my mid body joint, the figure's heavy, so even though I'm posing it up, it wants to come down. But I think if I place it up like that, it actually does stay up pretty well. Kind of. It's the thing, the more complexity they add to these figures, the kind of more joints you have to worry about. But it seems like I just need to kind of prop it up and then adjust the rest of the body with it. And then we got articulation in the arms, which I already started to play with the hands. Like the actual two-fingered hands move at the wrist, moves at the elbow, moves at the shoulder, and that's rotates in, and I think rotates down. I just can't get it. I can't get it to do it out of the box. I'm gonna have to work on it. It looks like it does have a hinge on it that lets it rotate though, so I'll play with that when I'm not trying to break it on camera, right? Same thing with the other arm, has the same articulation and joint that I can't get to move, but I'll get it to move. I'm not worried about it. I just don't want to spend time during this video messing with it. And then of course we have the head, right? The head also has a fair bit of articulation with the mouth. The whole mouth opens up from the top and the bottom, so you can open. Oh, they open in unison. There's no opening, just one. yeah, they open together. So I know some figures you get independent control of that, but it looks like in this case they open together. The tongue is articulated, so you can move it in the middle or you can move it down. I personally like it down. It's got a nice rubbery feel to it. Really rubbery actually, which is cool. And then you have this rubbery like membranes on either side of the mouth too, which is so cool. Just like, I mean, they're literally like real, like exactly how you'd think they move. Really, they wiggle and everything, and they kind of collapse in as you shut the jaw in a realistic way, so they don't look goofy when they do that. And I'm sure you can see the glass eye here. Just looks so cool. Just adds a whole level of realism to this thing. You can see the iris in there. Again, the lighting in my room is kind of harsh, but just makes this whole toy look so much more real. I just love the painting on it. It's got this really nice kind of dirty wash that looks really, really nice. And of course, you know, if I had to pick apart the painting, there's this like light coloring they did, detail on the head that's really obvious on some of these ridges around the eyes. It seems a little heavy. I don't remember any of the Rexes having that really light color along these ridges. See what I'm talking about? Like all right here. That's just nitpicky though. I mean, the toy looks absolutely incredible, but that's just the first thing you look at it. You're like, huh, that's kind of something I don't remember from the T-Rex having such a light finish, right? This toy is so cool though. I love this thing. But yeah, let's go ahead and do some comparisons now that we got it out. We've kind of taken you through all of the different articulation and painting and all that stuff. Of course, you got Gallimimus here and Grant already, right? You can see just how this Rex totally dwarfs these guys, right? It's huge. And then we also have, Parasaurolophus here, another Hammond Collection figure, medium sized, so still bigger than that. You got Baryonyx, still bigger than that. Of course, you got the Raptor too. So obviously, it's the biggest Hammond Collection figure we got, right? It's humongous, and it's suitably the largest dinosaur toy that we've gotten for this line. But besides other Hammond Collection figures, I'd love to talk about other T-Rexes, right? I mean, Mattel's done plenty of T-Rexes over the years. I will want to compare it to the latest and greatest T-Rex. That, of course, is the Thrash and Devour T-Rex. You know what? I'm going to get these Hammond Collection figures out of here because they'll just get in the way. They're swinging around all these dinosaur tails and all that good stuff. They'll just get in the way. So this is the Thrash and Devour T-Rex. Check out my review if you want to hear more about it. It's the it's what came out for Dominion. Great toy, great coloration, great playability, great sculpt. It's an awesome T-Rex toy. That's the quick review of it, right? And I kind of thought it would be a lot bigger than the Hammond Collection version, but the Hammond Collection figure is actually a bigger toy. It's a longer toy. The tail's way longer, and all the other proportions sort of line up. I mean, the head on the Hammond Collection Rex is smaller, but that's just because the head on the Thrash and Devour T-Rex was abnormally large, and even then it's like this head is still pretty dang big, so I'm not like too bent out of shape about its head being smaller because it's already huge. You can just see just how much more detail there is on this guy than that other Rex. And of course you have all the other articulation too. I mean, this one just literally has arms that move back and forth, and the legs don't move independently, they move together. Everything else is tied to an action feature, so there's really no articulation with that one, whereas this one there's tons and tons and tons of articulation, all kinds of crazy poses you can do, like that one, right? The roar. So I mean, it's just crazy how much more you can do with the Hammond Collection articulation versus the standard T-Rex articulation. Of course, you also have the smaller Epic Chomping T-Rex. This is the nearest, the latest one and closest in release to Hammond Collection. It's got the extreme damage. It's way bigger than this Rex, but at least their articulation is somewhat similar, right? The extreme damage one has that neck articulation too, but just a massive figure. They're not even close to being the same size. This one is just the size the T-Rex should be. which is great. But yeah, I mean, you put all this stuff together with all the other toys you got. That's what's great about Hammond Collection. It goes with all the other toys you already have to make perfect scenes. Like, you know, you got the Explorer, another awesome Mattel toy, and this T-Rex just poses perfectly with it. I mean, look at this thing. It's the perfect scale. I got no complaints. It's just so on point, right? And then you get Grant in there, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's the complete scene, and it's just full of detail and full of articulation. Both of these toys, so that's just fabulous. I mean, this Rex is. I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed by it. You know, minor nitpicks aside about articulation and some joints not being as tight as I feel like they should be. You know, other than that stuff, it's like this is still just an incredible toy that everyone is going to just everyone's going to enjoy once they get their hands on it. So, well done, Mattel. Love this thing so much. It's just an awesome toy, and I hope that we get a Spinosaurus and a Giganotosaurus and all that stuff eventually, because now you've given us a taste of these bigger premium figures, and we want all those awesome species to go along with it. So, you know, we're waiting. We're waiting for more Hammond Collection, because these toys that you're coming out with are just awesome. Grant, Gally, of course, are the other ones we unboxed today, and then we got T-Rex. So really cool stuff. For this review, and I'm just so impressed. But I think that's all I got for this review of Hammond Collection. Again, I'm Tim with Collect Jurassic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.